Here we are back at 9 Line Live. Thank you to everybody tuning in. Certainly appreciate it. Hopefully got this chat working again today, so let me do some double checking here. I'm going to send a chat out here. See if it's showing up. All right. Let me know if the chat's not working. I'd like to. One of the reasons we decided to start doing this stuff on YouTube is wanted to have the chat screen so that way we can interact with you guys. Cheeseburger couldn't make it tonight, but as you can see on the camera right here, I got Hot Rod hanging out with me in the studio, and he's going to be watching and helping and making crazy faces apparently. So anyway, wanted to start this show off with making sure we thank Oxido again for partnering with the channel, providing us with those LED headlights. If you haven't had the opportunity to check those out, there's a video up on the channel. And if you check it out, man, you get a 15% discount if you use the link that's in that description. So make sure you do that. It supports the channel. 15% discount. We get a little commission off of it. And for those of you that have already used that link and ordered off of it, we really do appreciate it. Means a lot. So the topic of today's live chat is several weeks ago, I made a video about estimating the horsepower level of that Richard Holdener Truck Plus, or as I call it, the best wrong cam, power estimation. Power estimation based off of, man, what are you doing? Sit down. The power estimation based off of HP tuners. So I've since learned some more tricks about this and kind of show you what I'm talking about here in a minute. But what I want to show you first here is some screenshots that I took of Mr. Richard Holdener, where he did some testing on that best on the Truck Plus cam. When he tested it on a 5.7 liter. It was a 5.3 that was bored to a 5.7. And unfortunately, I couldn't find a whole lot of information on the heads that he said that was on it. It were RHS ported heads. He made mention several times that he thought that they were mast ported heads in the videos. But let me pull up some different information here and let's see if this is going to work. So here is Mr. Richard Holdener himself. The cam 482 horsepower in this 5.7 liter. And let's see here, 462 pound-feet of torque. So if you recall in the video, I was using the mass airflow sensor in pounds per minute to figure a horsepower estimation. And on a couple of my runs, one of them was like 494 horsepower and one of them was like 475. And that's using the MAF pound per minute. Now, I've said it before, but that's based on your fueling. That's correct. Your injector characterization has to be spot on, and that's just the way to estimate. But after I got done with that video, and I'm going to say this again, I said in that video that I believe that my truck is currently probably making about 450 to 475 horsepower, and that's flywheel horsepower. Let me be very clear about that. That is not wheel horsepower. There were a whole lot of comments on that video, and one of them, somebody commented that they use a calculation of 1.1, but they use grams per second. And I'm going to show you what I mean here in a minute, but that got me to thinking that maybe the pounds per minute wasn't a very accurate way to do this. So I started doing some research. I came up on a forum from it was probably 2010 or 2016, and a gentleman was talking about measuring his airflow in grams per second instead of pounds per minute, and using a calculation. And he compared that calculation to actual dyno runs, and he said that it was pretty accurate. So what I want to do today is I want to show you kind of what that looks like, kind of how I think that this is a more accurate way of doing something. So we'll have to just see what you think about it. And Hot Rod's already got to go, so he's out of here. Attention span, 6 years old. You know how that goes. So he's out, and we'll see him again in a minute, I'm sure. But so okay, thank you. All right, sorry about that. So let me get back to some different data here. All right, so that's the torque on the sloppy best or the truck plus cam, because it is a sloppy best cam, no matter what anybody says. Sloppy best cam, that's why I call this cam the best wrong cam, because, you know, Richard calls everything the wrong cam. So, well, that's one of his shticks, I guess. All right, so this is an actual run of mine that I did when I compared. This is the one that I said the pounds per minute and you take this and multiply it by 10, and that's how you come up with 494 horsepower. So down here, I have changed the reading to grams per second, and at that point where it was reading this 494 roughly, it was reading 373.5 grams per second, and again, that's at the top end of second gear. So the new calculation that I've learned based off of some of the research that I've done is you take this grams per second and you multiply it by 1.2. So 373.5 times, let me do it, I'm on my phone. So 373.5 times 1.2 equals 448.2 horsepower. So right on that 450 horsepower mark that I thought this was actually making. So I would say that this is probably a very, very good estimation of what the engine's actually making. I said before that there's no way it was making 494 flywheel horsepower. There's just no way. There's not enough done to the engine. It's just a cammed LQ4 with the Trailblazer SS new body style intake, long tube headers, cold air intake, 317 heads. So it's pretty basic when it comes down to it. Electric fans, so you know I still have most of the accessories and whatever. So, but what I want to do here is I want to switch over to another screen, and let's see here. So this should be my laptop screen here. And again, I want you to see down here where it says 360 grams per second. So take that, multiply it times 1.2, and you get a rough estimation on what it was making that day. You know, your power levels are going to change depending on the weather, the density, altitude, and that kind of stuff. And again, your fueling. So I was tuning down on this, getting my fueling dialed in wide open throttle. I recently hooked up my wideband, so I was trying to do some wide open tuning on that, and you can see here it was a little fat compared to the commanded EQ ratio here in Lambda, but it's not too terribly bad, but it's off just a little bit. So I still haven't got it dialed in completely, but we're working on getting that all set up and going. So, but I'd like to know your guys' thoughts on this. Do you think that this is a good rough way to estimate power? And again, I want to say this one more time. Your injector characterization has to be right. Your fueling needs to be pretty spot on for these numbers to work correctly. But something else that I found out when I was doing my research, and a gentleman actually made a comment on the video itself. You can take that number again and multiply it by 1.1, and that is an estimation of wheel horsepower. So let's go back to the 1398 run here. And if we take 373.5 and multiply it by 1.1, roughly 410, 411, it's 410.85 wheel horsepower. I don't think that that's correct on my truck. With it being all-wheel drive, I think I'm eating up 20 to 25% to all four wheels. So my wheel horsepower is probably going to be lower than most people with a two-wheel drive truck. What do you guys that have had all-wheel drive trucks, I'd be interested to know, or all-wheel drive vehicles, what that power calculation is. But I'm pretty sure somewhere between 20 to 25% is being eaten up by that by the all-wheel drive. So let me know what you guys think, man. We typically try to do a 30 minutes live session, conversation between Cheeseburger and myself. I've been wanting to do this one though because I think this new method of taking your grams per second and multiplying it by 1.2 gives you a real good estimation. So I learned to take that math pound per minute, multiply it by 10. I learned that in one of the tuning schools that I took. And I've said it before, I'm still very new to tuning. I'm learning every single day. And in fact, I just signed up and I'm taking some more second tuning class. So there's a lot of good information that's out there on YouTube, but continuing education, man, always trying to better yourself and always trying to improve. So I've learned a lot, but the first class I took, this is what he said, was to take your math pounds per minute and multiply it by 10. I have a lot more confidence in the power estimation based off the grams per second multiplied by 1.2 for flywheel horsepower. I won't know what the wheel horsepower is until I can actually get it on a four-wheel dyno. Fortunately, or unfortunately, the closest one of those to me is about 100 miles away. So, but I do hope to get it on the dyno and I see what it actually is putting down to the wheels. I don't know. I have to be completely honest. I'm not real sure that this Holdener cam is going to stay in the truck. With those trick flow heads that I got, I think I'm going to go a little different route. I have recently picked up another cam. Let me turn this off and I will show you what we got going here. And let's see here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Probably not. Let's try this one. Of course not. There we go. Let me move this out of the way. All right, so I'm going to put this one back up. What we got on the way is a comp cam 54-458-11 cam. Now, you've seen Mr. Holdener do 459 cams a lot. And that 459 cam is a 231, 239, if I remember correctly, duration at 50. This one is a 227, 235, 614, 621 lift split, and 113 plus 3. So I've decided to use this cam instead of the Holdener cam. It's a little bit bigger. We're looking at, 8 degrees more intake duration, 10 degrees more exhaust duration, and some more lift. But the reason I decided to go ahead and get a little bit bigger cam is to take advantage of those trick flow heads. They really start coming alive in the 600 lift range and above. So I wanted to take advantage of that. A lot of my videos that are on my channel, dating back to 5 years ago when I first started this with that Sierra C3, a lot of my videos are based around the fact that at that time, that Sierra C3 was my driver, my daily driver. That's what I was playing with, and that's what I had to drive. Things have changed in 5 years now to where I have a different daily driver, and the C3 has now shifted to more of a hot rod slash play toy. So I'm going a little more radical than I had planned. So, initially I planned to do a pretty small cam. I was going to run 706 862 heads on it. Just something that was going to be fun, red light to red light. Something that I didn't have to have a big stall in. But again, like typically, in typical hot rod fashion, the plans change, and we've gone a little bit more radical with it. And in that cam installation video, when we put that Holdener cam in the truck, I even made mention that we were not switching the heads from 706 or from 317s to the 706 heads because we at that time, and we still might, plan to put some giggle juice on it or some nitrous oxide, some gap sauce, all that, whatever you want to call it. But Avengers juice, that's Marvel Mystery Oil, buddy. Yeah, Avengers juice. He still he still laughs about that. But so we were looking at putting nitrous oxide on it, and we still may very well because I have never had a vehicle with nitrous, and I'm very curious about it. And why not make that 4L65E spit its guts out the back with a 200 shot? So more than likely, what'll wind up happening is I will wind up putting twin turbos on it. That's the most likely path, and that's another reason I decided to go with that 458 cam. I haven't seen any real dyno results on it. I did see something from Holdener where he tested it on a 5.3, and I think it made 448 horsepower on a 5.3. Let me see if I can pull that video up real quick. Let's see, wrong one. It was a Speed Secrets video back whenever he was doing the Speed Secrets stuff. So 54 videos. Yeah, Speed Secrets. So let me see if I can tell you how much it made here. I think it was 448 horsepower roughly, and that was in a 5.3. So let's see. All right, yep, 614, 621, 449, 419. So it made 6,400 peak power and 4,900 peak torque. And that was still with the factory truck intake manifold. It did not have, and that's a 706 LM7. That's not the 243 headed 5.3. So with those trick flow heads on that LQ4, with that cam, it ought to really come alive. It ought to make great mid-range power. Still be a streetable cam. I have that 2800 to 3200 stall to put in still, which I'm going to do before I put the heads and the new cam in because I really want to see how it's going to affect the performance. Right now, that truck's a dog out of the hole. It's such a heavy truck, and putting that cam in there, again, if you haven't seen my video that's up about does it need a stall converter, I recommend you checking it out. I talk at length about stall converter and that cam. So I think that 2800 to 3200 stall is going to get us. It wouldn't surprise me if it knocks a half a second or more off the ET right now, because it's such a pooch coming out of the hole. But well, guys, that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. Again, just to recap, on my truck, LQ4 long tube headers, Trailblazer SS intake, 317 heads, electric fans, and tune. Full exhaust, obviously. With that Holdener cam, initially we thought it was making somewhere around 494, according to the way we did our math with the MAF pounds per minute. obviously in that video that I'm talking about right now, it made somewhere between, I stated that it made somewhere between 450 and 475 horsepower. So the new method, take your grams per second, your mass airflow in grams per second, and then you need to multiply that by 1.2, and that will give you an estimation of your flywheel horsepower. If you want to figure your wheel horsepower, take your mass airflow grams per second and multiply that by 1.1. Let me know, guys. I'm really interested. Make some comments. I want to see this. Let's get some feedback and see what you think on this stuff. And we got some cool stuff coming. I've said that several times, but I just picked up a set of long tube headers for that Tahoe. I'm going to be putting those on very soon. We're going to do a custom type exhaust on that. I already have a very good sounding muffler on it with the Hooker aero chamber. You know, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the F-body setup was long tube headers and a Hooker aero chamber, and that sounded really, really good. So I don't know. It's my daily driver, so I do not want it to be stupid loud. I'm probably going to have to change that muffler out, but I already have one in my mind. I've already identified what I want to do to try to keep that thing manageable and go from there. But anyways, guys, so thanks for tuning in. Again, we're going to try to do these things every Wednesday at 7 o'clock Central Time. Next week, I think Cheeseburger will be back, and we're going to try to get Bullshits on here and, you know, kind of do this thing and discuss the videos and talk about hot rodding in general. I'd like to reach out to some folks too, maybe do some interviews on this channel. So if you're interested in possibly doing that, man, shoot me an email at 9linegarage. That's the number 9linegarage at gmail.com. Again, that's the number 9linegarage at gmail.com. Also, if you're interested in partnering with the channel, that's a great way to get in contact with me. Is I check that email every day. It's the email I use to order parts with. It's so I'm on that email all the time. So if you're interested in partnering with the channel, you want to shoot some parts our way, you want to shoot some tools our way, I will do whatever I can to promote your business and show what we're doing. But anyway, so until next week, guys, we are out of here.